Be seated. I hereby call to order this hearing regarding a petition filed on behalf of Joseph Mitchell Scully III. Where is Mr. Scully?
Here, Your Honor.
To commit for involuntary admission to a psychiatric hospital, namely Shady Brook Institution, his mother, Costanza Louise Falconeri.
That's me, Your Honor. Connie. Well, my full name is Mrs. John Zacchara.
Counsel for the petitioner?
Present, Your Honor.
You seem to be missing counsel for the respondent.
Sincerest apologies to the court, Your Honor. Diane Miller, representing Mrs. Zacchara.
Thank you for joining us, Counselor.
Diane, you're representing her now? Is that what's going on here? Huh?
She's a friend. She called me. And need I remind you, I'm no longer on your retainer.
Can we get on with this?
Yes. Your Honor, as I believe my client explained to you yesterday, the petitioner's attempt to have his mother committed to a mental hospital is nothing more than a blatant manipulation on the part of my client's jilted fiancé, Michael Sonny Corinthos. And Mr. Scully, or Trey, as he presents himself, is nothing more than a shill for Mr. Corinthos.
That's a lie, Diane.
Mr. Corinthos, if you have something to say, take the stand.
Nothing.
Mr. Corinthos, did you coerce or manipulate Mr. Scully into filing this motion?
Absolutely not.
But it is your wish that Kate Howard, otherwise known as Costanza Falconeri Zacchara, be admitted into Shady Brook Mental Health Facility?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. No further questions?
Your Honor, I would like to question this witness.
Proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Corinthos, were you ever engaged to Mrs. Zacchara?
Kate Howard, not Connie.
And at the time of your attempted nuptials, did my client ever inform you that she was already married to John Zacchara?
Yeah, she did, but it was...
Well, that must have hurt you deeply.
Well, I was more worried about Kate.
So you weren't
kidding.
humiliated at all? That you were essentially jilted at the altar?
I was not jilted, Diane. It was Connie.
When your bride-to-be walks down the aisle and in the middle of her own wedding ceremony stops the proceedings and says, hey, I'm already married to another man, that didn't bother you?
Your Honor, can I have a moment to confer with my client, please?
Yes, it bothered me. But I wanted
What
to
you
make
wanted
sure...
was payback. Isn't that right? Isn't that why you actually reached out to my client's estranged son?
I was concerned.
Didn't you, in fact, strong-arm Mr. Scully into signing those admission papers to soothe your wounded ego?
No, all I wanted was Kate to get her life back so she can get to know her son, so she can get to know who she is. That's not my fiancé right there. That's a symptom of Kate's mental illness.
Who are you, Sigmund Corleone?
Counselors, you need to control your respective clients.
Absolutely understood, Your Honor. No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Corinthos. You may step down. Mrs. Zacchara, you're next.
See, I knew I had to get away from this ruthless gangster. But every time I got out, he sucked me back in.
Your Honor.
Mrs. Zacchara, just answer the question.
This is an awful story. I cannot even begin to imagine the trauma that you suffered.
The only way to get out of his grasp was to find my true love. My true blue. I had to find my real Prince Charming. Johnny Zacchara came to my rescue.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. You're saying that John Zacchara is your knight in shining armor? I was under the impression that Mr. Zacchara was also involved in organized crime.
Oh, no, my Johnny left that business a long time ago. He's a legitimate businessman now. We just want to have a decent life together, Your Honor. I'm not crazy. I'm just a woman in love. Something that man knows nothing about. Because if Sonny can't have everything that he wants, no one else can have nothing either, right? He didn't get what he wants, so now he's punishing me. Who else brings their son to court to commit their mama to a snake pit? You tell me that.
Objection.
Miss Davis, I called this hearing in order to get Mrs. Zacchara's side of the story overruled. Anything else, Mrs. Zacchara?
No, Your Honor. That is the truth. And nothing but.
Mr. Zacchara, care to corroborate?
I'm sorry.
Mr. Zacchara, is it your assertion that you are in love with that woman and that you entered into a voluntary clandestine relationship with her?
That's the truth.
The truth is that woman is very sick. Described by Mr. Corinthos and detailed in this psychiatric evaluation that's been submitted to the court by the petitioner. The question here is, why on earth would you marry her?
Same reason any other couple would get married. We're in love.
That's your only motivation.
What else would there be?
When Connie interrupted her wedding to Mr. Corinthos because she said that she was in fact married to you, in front of witnesses, she said that you were the only one that could have her committed. Now, isn't that the reason that you married her? So that you can control Connie and keep Kate from getting the help that she needs?
Objection, Your Honor. How would that relationship benefit Mr. Zacchara?
That is a very good question. Thank you. Would you care to elaborate? What do you get in return for marrying her?
Everlasting love.
Weren't you in a relationship with Carly Jacks? I mean, what happened to that relationship? Did you just wake up one morning and go, you know what, forget Carly, I'm gonna go with that woman who is not only mentally ill, but she attempted to kill your grandfather, which caused a double homicide in the process, yes?
I've answered your question. We're in love.
Well, guess what? I'm gonna ask you one more time. What are you getting in return for marrying that woman? Maybe it's not something to gain. Maybe it's something to lose. You know, if this is weighing on your conscience, Mr. Zacchara, this is a great time to unburden.
Objection, Your Honor. This is not a criminal proceeding, and while Ms. Davis is trying to break my client's husband on the stand...
Mr. Zacchara will answer the question.
Is this really what you want, Johnny? You know that Kate needs help, and you know that Connie needs to go. And all you have to do is say it out loud, and she'll go away, and you'll be free. So you do the right thing for the sake of everyone, and you tell the truth.
My wife has no leverage on me. There is no secret agreement. We love each other. May I please sit down now?
Yes, you may step down.
You're welcome.
Never underestimate the power of self-preservation, because if you did open up your mouth up there, you'd be the one to be locked up. Right.
You know, Mr. Scully, isn't it true that you have only just recently met your mother?
Yes.
And despite this admittedly brief relationship, you expect this court to believe that you are so concerned about her well-being that you want to have her committed.
Look, I can assure you that me committing Connie to Shady Brook has nothing to do with revenge. And nobody manipulated me into doing this.
So you're not upset that she rejected you?
No.
I'm sorry, it's my understanding that you were actually abandoned as an infant, that you were left behind in a dresser drawer in some godforsaken boarding house. Now, if it were me, I would be upset. I might even want to make my mother pay for the way she treated me.
Yeah, well, that's you.
So you're not in court today to have your mother committed as some sort of payback?
I'm here today because I have a friend that was hurt by Connie. And I don't want to see that happen to anybody else. She is dangerous, She's a sick woman, and she needs help.
So this is all about helping her. You're here due to your deep altruistic nature.
I never said I was a
Isn't
saint.
it true that you are a reality show producer and that you tried to get my client's confession on tape to broadcast on a failed reality television show called Mob Princess?
You made your point, counselor, and so is this witness.
Yes, indeed, Your Honor. I believe we both have. Thank you. No further questions.
Miss Davis.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Scully, this is something more to you than getting Connie off the streets, isn't it? Aren't you hoping to have a relationship with your mother?
Yes. But that can't happen unless she gets some help.
Thank you, Mr. Scully. At this time, we'll take a short recess while I consider my decision.
All rise.
A lot of people, I think, traded a little bit of damage, and the judge brought that little bastard sob story. All right? It's a good thing, because I got an ace in the hole.
Your Honor, if I may address the court.
What is it, Miss Miller?
Before you actually hand down your ruling, I would like to move that Mr. Scully's petition to have my client committed be dismissed.
On what grounds?
The petitioner maintains that my client is an alter, a symptom of Kate Howard's illness, when in fact, the opposite is true. Kate Howard is the alter, a secondary personality manifested by my client, a true and actual person, the real woman, Constanza Louise Connie Falconeri.
And Dante